Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 6 of Downloadable Opinions. My name is Brian Best, and joining me as sometimes always, and always because he helps record the show and edits the show, and he's pretty much the reason why it comes out, the villainous Adam Gayton.
I was going to say, where are you getting sometimes from? I do all the work here.
That's true. I tag along for these things, and it's just like, hey Adam, how's it going? You want me to host a show? And he's just like, yeah, sure, why not, Brian? Let's do it. I'll do the editing, I'll do all the grunt work for you, just show up and talk.
Regardless, I'm happy to be here. This is going to be a fun one, because we're going to have a very rage-worthy topic on here, and I'm in a terrible mood from today, so this is going to be, I would look forward to later on in this podcast. This is going to be pretty intense.
This is going to be pretty intense, but the first story of the day we have to kind of get to because it's the biggest tech news of this week.
So it technically still was intense.
Yeah. Intense or dense?
Intense.
Okay, alright, sorry. Well, I'll take it down a notch. But anyways, the biggest story this week, undoubtedly, is Microsoft announcing that they're throwing their hat into the tablet ring with their new Surface. A 10-inch tablet running Windows 8 coming out on ARM and Intel-based chipsets. It's set to compete with the iPad. However, before Microsoft's keynote address, IGN released a leaked document with tech specs for an Xbox-branded Surface. Basically a possibly new gaming tablet, which is interesting. But anyways, let's give a quick rundown of the tech specs for the Xbox Surface. It's supposed to be a 7-inch screen, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, two custom IBM 6-core processors, a custom 1.5 gigabyte graphics card, 250 gigabytes of hard drive storage, and support for up to 4 wireless controllers. Now, a lot of these specs are different from the Surface that Microsoft announced, which was a 10-inch tablet running on ARM and Intel-based, obviously, and then some other things. But if this tablet is coming out, Adam, what do you think of a dedicated gaming tablet? Like, we've seen the stuff with Surface, or not Surface, but the Smart Glass, and that's kind of a cool thing for existing ones. But if Xbox had its own dedicated tablet, what do you think of that?
Well, I guess, first of all, I'm worried just because they say it's a 7-inch screen and support for 4 controllers. I mean, split screen on a pretty big TV is still a pain, so I can't imagine it being for a 7-inch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's probably the best thing that they could be doing with the tablet because that's so unique. Because when you think of tablets with the iPad and whatever else, what are the apps they have and the games they got? They're not that great. I mean, really, it's... what's the freaking really good 3D one that's been put out that looks beautiful? That it's one of the games.
It's Infinity Blade.
Thank you. Yeah, Infinity Blade.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great because I mean, think about it. You could take this on the road with you. I mean, I remember a while back seeing somebody had built this this travel TV that you could connect your Xbox into, and it was pretty much as big as a laptop screen. And you could take it like on the plane or something and play with Xbox Live if they could get some sort of a Wi-Fi connection on there anywhere. Yeah. Which is a great idea, and really that's kind of what the tablet's going to do. I mean, it's going to be a little smaller, obviously, but I guess one player I wouldn't see too much problems. If it was trying to be multiplayer, I don't know how that would work, because, I mean, it'd be like playing GoldenEye way back in the day when the screen was only like this big and you could barely
tiny,
see.
Yeah, you couldn't even see.
If you were playing Oddjob, you were screwed. Yeah. You couldn't see him, let alone
I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense for it to be a split-screen 7-inch, like television thing. I don't know, and also this is this is a rumor. This is an absolute complete rumor. We don't know if it's coming out. And to be honest, if it did get announced, I would wonder why it wasn't announced at E3, which was just the previous week.
It might have been probably just a time frame, and other people had probably paid them to get on the stage, so that's probably the other issue. And really, they would have spent so much more time at it during E3. It probably would have been like a 15-20 minute thing.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I can kind of understand why they want to do their own show. They could literally spend as much time as they wanted to with it.
I guess, yeah. They can. They can.
Because, I mean, think about how much time Nintendo devoted to the Wii U and still didn't get enough room to say, this is how much it will cost. Because, that's really important information. A cost and a release date, and we had neither.
No.
Because that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You spend 2 years, reveling up this console you're coming out with, and we still don't know when we're going to have it in our hands.
It's supposed to be out in Q4, that's all we know.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Holiday time. But, anyway, actually going to E3... and seeing all the stuff that we've seen with WiiU and the crossplay with the PSP Vita, and now the rumors of a possible Xbox Surface is tablet gaming, or tablets now the motion controls of last year or the year before. Like, as we saw Kinect come out, we saw Move come out in a very quick amount of time after Nintendo's sales skyrocketed with the Wii.
It's hard for me to say just because I don't own tablets, so I'm not sure how they work with it. But I guess I can see where it's going, because a lot of people, it's as much as people, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right now. The iPad to me is the most expensive fad in the history of human culture. I'm sorry, but for me, $700 for something like that, I think that's the price. I'm just guessing. I think it's around there.
It's $514 for the Wi-Fi version here in Canada.
But, like, I don't get it. It's like a gigantic iPod to me, which I don't understand why people need it that badly. And I don't think most people are buying it because they want one. It's because they want one so people will like them because they want one. I mean, if that's the way they're going, I'm not shocked by it, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think it's because I'm such an old school guy, I'd rather it stick to what it is already, because to me it feels like I said in the past ones with Smart Glass, I think it's just going to be something that's not really going to be too immersive and will probably get in the way in some retrospects.
In some specs, yeah, but there are some gaming things, especially like this is the only example I can think of off the top of my head, but Mario Party, like that type of game would be ultimate to have, like some kind of like singular pad to have, like
as long as they make the game less frustrating, that you could be the best guy on there and lose because the other player stole your stars.
True, if they fixed it up a little bit.
If they fixed that, I take it seriously.
Or even the horror genre, if there was like a co-op, like a counter co-op gameplay where you play as a zombie or some kind of like monster, and like you can scare the living crap out of your friends as you're playing it.
It just reminds me of, I can't remember what it was from. I think it was Zero Punctuation, and Yahtzee was commenting on it, where he was talking about how pointless it would be to have 2-player co-op in a game like Dead Space, because there's nothing horrifying about that, because they'll just be like, oh yeah, you're doing that over there. Oh, that's where he is.
Yeah, no, it's
the only scare tactics would be the other guy sitting next to you go.
Guess what?
That'd be the only scare tactics in these things.
It would be. Well, the thing is with Dead Space, they're following the exact model of Resident Evil 5, although I can see Dead Space having a better storyline, anyways.
Yes,
and hopefully sidestep a lot of the bugs that had.
I'm really praying that Resi 6 finishes this storyline and moves on to other things, because I'm sick of, as much as I love the characters, I love Chris, I love Claire, I love Leon, I'm sick of seeing them.
Yeah, it's just get it over with. Dead Space 3, it does look a little bit interesting though. I mean, the co-op aspect, we did see some stuff. I think they released 20 minutes of gameplay footage, and in that there's some really interesting single, like, you get captured by the boss and like your one player has to do the quick time event to get out of it, which is interesting anyways. But anyways, let's get back to the actual Microsoft Surface, which is the one that is out now. It's the confirmed, like, this is Microsoft's tablet. It's not the Xbox One that's all rumor right now. This is obviously going to make a big splash in terms of basically the tablet world, but also in the gaming market, because Windows 8, which is running fully on the Pro version of Microsoft Surface, is a desktop computer. And what do you think of this as a gaming PC, if it's possible? Because, I mean, like, we don't know what kind of graphic chipset is coming out, and if it is, I think it's the NVIDIA Tegra 2, which can do some pretty powerful things. But what do you think of playing games on a tablet-like device that has a keyboard and mouse?
It depends, like you said, we don't know what the card is, so it depends on the graphics power, because, I mean, PC gamers are pretty much limited to just seeing how good their graphics can get. I mean, with games like Crysis and Far Cry and games like that where the graphics are pumped up.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid that if gaming tablets try to be like gaming PCs, it's going to be really hard for them to do it and be able to justify the price of it. Because having a legitimate, full-powered gaming PC is an expensive chore to do.
Okay, then how about this? For services like OnLive, where it's streaming video game service,
that would work.
Is this a major bump for them?
That could be, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's going to be interesting. If you want to check out more, go to, I think it's getsurface.com or something like that. Check out Microsoft's site for the thing. It's a really interesting tablet. I think, like, if I wasn't already an Apple fanboy, I'd probably be looking into
So we're going to be
it.
fighting over this, because this is the first tablet I've actually liked and not wanted to throw out the window.
Because you don't even have an actual smartphone right now, and
sadly, because I probably will be soon, so I'm going to break that trend.
But why do you like the Surface as opposed to all the other different Android tablets and
One
iPad?
thing, the keyboard.
Okay.
I have an iPod Touch. I hate the touch keyboard because the keys are too tight together. You have to hit the wrong ones. You have to redo it over and over again. This is a legitimate keyboard. We're good on keyboards. This is what we've learned for our entire lives. We haven't learned to go boop 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 on a freaking tiny little phone.
True.
So for me, that keyboard alone really caught my attention. Of course, it is Microsoft. I'm a big Xbox guy, so it makes sense. The fact they might be making a gaming tablet, awesome.
Yeah.
I also like the little. What's the little almost picture frame-esque kind of backing to it where it actually sits up and literally looks like it's a laptop.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I like because I almost got an iPad, but then I realized I want a laptop though. Yeah. And an iPad's kind of like, I guess
it's the thing
it's like a half step towards one.
It's between your smartphone and an actual computer.
Yeah. And the Surface to me, minus the fact that of course it looks almost like how the Xbox dashboard does, it looks almost exactly like it would be a laptop.
Yeah. That's very true, and that's part of the reason why I'm kind of like looking at this as an actual thing that I would probably want as opposed to the iPad.
Because, I mean, we had the conversation over Twitter that we both know that it's not going to have a shot in hell of competing with the iPad, but it will definitely take everybody else that's climbing that ladder and literally shove them aside. From what I've seen so far, I have no... Like, there's nothing in my head that can ever tell me that it's not going to be the second best selling once it comes out and starts getting its airtime.
Well, you know what? And this is completely devoid of gaming stuff. This tablet is essentially, in my opinion, the end of Research in Motion's playbook because there's so many enterprise things on it. Like you can do the entire Office suite on there. Gone.
Yeah, I think we're going to see RIM getting sold off pretty quickly soon because Blackberries are... I don't even think they're in the top 3 of smartphones anymore. I think Android, iPhones... What else was it?
Nokia's still up there because they're worldwide.
And even like LGs and even HTC now, what they're coming in, like everybody is just kicking BlackBerry off.
It's just
because the problem with BlackBerry is they're not changing anything. They're really not adding anything to it.
The next version of BlackBerry, which is more like OS, basically the iPhone and all these other things, gets rid of the or the actual keyboard. It's just like it's a touchscreen keyboard now. They're basically cannibalizing their own business to go with what the market is right now.
I'm afraid it's too late for them to make that change. It's way too late. I mean, there's already been rumors that they're going to sell it off.
You know what? It's a Canadian company, and I really, really hope they find a way to change and become innovative and really, really cool again.
Me too.
Because that would be awesome to say, like, hey, Research in Motion, it's a big thing and it's awesome, but just all the kind of evidence that's supporting it right now is just like, nope, it's not going to happen.
Me too, and just because I want to put in a sports reference, so Jim Ball silly can try to buy the Phoenix Coyotes again and bring them to Hamilton like he should have.
That would be nice. Anyways, next story.
I love how we were supposed to segue into the next story and we spent another 4 minutes on it.
That's true. So our next story, it has to do with Blizzard, saying that Starcraft on the Wii U is a possibility, and then this is like there was a very good segue. Okay. Anyways, the lead designer at Blizzard told Kotaku that under the right circumstances, Nintendo's upcoming Wii U might be a good fit for StarCraft. The multi-award-winning studio has normally dedicated their games only on being developed on the PC. However, Blizzard did port StarCraft over to the N64 back in 2000. The Wii U gamepad capabilities would be a great fit for the console, but given the cross-platform capabilities of the PlayStation Vita and possible Xbox tablet, Nintendo might not only be the only option for them. So what do you think as this kind of tails back to what we were talking before, but like RTSs, if they had a multi-touch screen, would they work on consoles?
I think with the gamepad, it's probably the best solution to it because, and we said it earlier before we started recording here, that when they port RTSs over, there's a reason why they're specifically made for PCs. Because with a mouse, it's clear, and the accuracy is dead on. When you play, especially on the old consoles, the analog sticks are always finicky. It's slow to move over around the maps. Half the time you don't click on what you want. So, I mean, I feel that with the gamepad it could make sense because you could tap where you want. You could really quickly go through it like you would with an iPhone or an iPad and just tap wherever you want. And even if you're not quite there, I mean, it's just another quick tap.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like with the analog stick you got to try to get yourself back in there.
That's true. And we've seen RTSs work on like tablets like Android and the iPad, and even on the iPhone. Civilization 4 is on there, and you can play that. And so I would think that this kind of controller scheme would work. But anyways, moving on quickly through it. if the console port does happen, Blizzard, we've seen like decline in WoW subscribers. Diablo 3 is the best-selling PC game out right now, but there is very, not limited, but I can't see it doing too much more than just a big splash.
We can tell that MMOs are really starting to kill, because Old Republic might even be going free-to-play very soon.
Nah.
They've said that they're planning on going free-to-play in the distant future.
So do you think if this port does go through, do you think it's going to be basically a cash grab for Blizzard to get capital again? Because we know that the profit margins aren't there that they used to be back in like 2005.
Because I don't know what the audience for the Wii U is going to be yet, I'd say no at this point, because I don't think Starcraft, like at this point in time with Nintendo, it would not sell as well as it could. So if they really want to port StarCraft, they really need to wait. And the sad part is, if StarCraft's going to get to that point where it's going to be so old that it's, I mean, sure, it was still pretty popular until the second.
It was, yeah.
But, I mean, I feel that right now with the Nintendo's audience, and until we get at least a year of the Wii U to see where they're going with the hardcore gaming population, I don't think the Wii U is a good fit for it right now. At this point in time, I don't think it'll work.
I think it's definitely something that Blizzard is probably playing with, just because they see how many people are having consoles right now, and the Wii traditionally has had a very large market share, and that this might be a possibility in terms of if we had to, could we?
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that they'll probably even like start to test out to see if they can build it and make it fit with the Wii U, but I don't assume they'll finish it until they start seeing some results from it. There's no way it'll be out in the first year of the console's existence. I can't see there being any possibility, considering the audience for the Wii U right now is younger kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to put out a very, very adult-oriented, very like strategic game that kids aren't going to really get into that easily.
But again, we were playing StarCraft back when we were kids.
I wasn't.
Well, I was.
I've never been an RTS guy. The only RTS game that I actually played with any proficiency was Red Alert 2. That's it.
Really? You never played Age of Empires?
No.
You missed out in your childhood.
There's a lot of RTSs. Like, I tried Age of Empires 3.
Yeah.
And I was okay. But, I mean, for me, it's just, I don't have the patience to just click and watch. It's not my thing. I like being the guy in it. So, for me, RTSs have never been that
How do you
great
turn
with me.
this on?
Don't get mad at me.
You know what? It's okay. You are forgiven for that. Anyways, let's move on to the Rage-tastic story of the day.
Yay.
Now, I'm going to give this to you because you brought the story up, and I saw the video of it, and I got to say, it's a very interesting concept, and I've had some, my friends quote on that, my boss too, basically. Anyways, just give us the rundown on it.
Well, the idea is that this YouTube channel, I can't remember what the woman's name, but the YouTube channel is called Feminist Frequencies.
Yeah.
And the idea is that she put a Kickstarter account out so she could get funding for a 5-part video that would go through the tropes. For those people who don't know, it's a very overused cliche. And she wants to do it, a 5-part episode on 5 of the biggest cliches that happen to female characters in gaming. So it's things like the damsel in distress, the sex toy, really. And I can't remember what the other 3 are, because in my head, it's the rage going through a little more than the information. But the reason the issue came up is because initially when the video came out, the backlash that she got on her comments section was just ridiculous.
It's huge. She actually has about 5,670 dislikes on her page.
Because, I mean, before this, she did other things. She would talk about Hunger Games. She talked about the Smurfette effect, about how the idea between the Smurfette's existence was only to get the attention of the male Smurfs to get, their love to her, so they would do whatever she wants them to. I don't watch Smurfs, so I don't know the backstory to it, but that's the gist of it. I mean, the backlash from people just going batshit crazy on it.
Yeah.
And to me, there's no reason for it, because really, it's a legitimate issue. And I'm a guy, and I say it's a legitimate issue, because how many games can you name that the female character has not been a sex symbol? And the biggest example that we can think of off the top of our head, thank God that it's going to change finally, is Tomb Raider with Lara.
Yeah.
Because the entire series, up until the revitalization of it that's coming out, I think, is this year that's the new one?
It's either Q4 this year or Q1 of next year.
But to think that any time prior to that, she was the sex symbol right next to Tifa, really.
Yeah. Yeah, she was.
It really hasn't changed either.
No.
You think of who's the most well-known female character? It's probably Lara.
No, I would.
Very close.
It's Laura and then
now,
Samus.
Now that it's kind of getting past, like Tomb Raider had a good hiatus because the last few games were terrible.
If it was 1995 right now, it would be Tomb Raider. It would be Lara Croft.
Had all the more recent games not sucked, we'd probably be saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the reason that Samus is now going to start falling off that page is because Other M was for the same thing. It was a terrible game.
Yeah, and it did sexualize Samus even more.
Everybody liked Samus because we wouldn't be talking about Samus unless Other M didn't come out. Because Samus, you never really got to see her too much, unless for that cheat or whatever in the original where it takes off her armor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, like, she was the female badass of that generation. Yeah. And Other M, and why they gave it to Team Ninja, the guys responsible for Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball.
And Ninja Gaiden.
Why would you possibly give your best legitimate female character to a bunch of just big-breasted, bouncy company that just loves to go sexual with their games?
Really
it's insane why they would think that was a great idea. And the game itself, not only did they kind of try to make her a sex symbol again, but they made her such a whiny, just depressive woman, and all we knew her for was just killing anything that got in her way.
I think
they killed it.
Most hardcore Metroid fans is pretty much, taking that out of canon right now anyways. I mean, if they went back to Retro Studios' kind of Metroid Prime stuff, that's just an amazing game. It's an awesome time.
The 3 Metroid Primes, just unbelievable works.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, getting back to the issue is, like, she's making these videos, and she's obviously had this huge backlash of gamers being sexist, dopes sometimes, but other ones bringing out very good points, like the people we saw over at The Escapist. Movie Bob, I think, right?
Yep, Bob Chipman.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't, go check him out at _movie_Bob on Twitter, because he rants like nobody's business every day on Twitter about political issues, about gaming issues, anything, and his stuff is legit and really, really well informed. So it's I have such a fun time reading his tweets.
Yeah, it's a
because he's setting some people on fire with these things. Some people there's literally smoke coming out of their ears when they read his stuff.
It's true, yeah. But I mean, like, I think this movie needs to be made, and she got her, like, she only asked for $6,000. She got, let me just go to the Kickstarter page.
I think it was just a little over that.
It's a lot more over 6,000.
Okay, because I know it was about 7,000 people who donated.
She got funded. She now has $158,922.
You think about Double Fine with their project. They were only looking for $1 million, and they just kept getting more and more.
I could almost go off and do a tangent on Kickstarter, because there's been so many projects right now that's just gone off the scale in terms of getting so much money for funding, and when they only ask for so little. It's crazy. But sticking with the issue at hand, we'll go off in tangent on that. She's got like a pretty good, like, as a icon photo of basically, like, sexism, not sexism, but women in video games. Like, we've got the original, like, Peach, Miss Pac-Man. But then we go into more modern versions like Ashley from Resident Evil 4, which...
There's the one medic girl from Skullgirls that just recently came out, the downloadable title, and that game is pretty much... It's a really good fighting game, and I mean, I didn't really think about it till then, but I mean, the art's really nice, so I didn't really think at that point that it was kind of a sexist character, but then when you look at what she's wearing, you're like, oh yeah, there we go.
But I mean, even still, like, other ones like Cortana from the Halo series.
Has we commented in Halo 4? Or, no, yeah, 4.
To be honest, even, like, she's... definitely it's the most, because there's no other women in the game other than Captain Keyes, who's Captain Keyes' daughter. Weird thing from the franchise. But she dies in the middle of it, and she's not as badass as everyone else. I mean, Red vs. Blue has more Tex, sister to a degree, has more relatable, or at least better female role models in the mockumentary.
Which goes to show you that it's the big companies that are not following this trend. It's the people that actually understand social issues that are actually making the correct assumptions on how they should be portrayed.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, I put this on Twitter a while ago, and for those that don't know, I'm pretty much usually the guy posting most of the stuff on the Twitter account. So. But I posted my top 3 gaming characters, female characters of all time. And I listed Riku from Final Fantasy X, Kid from Chrono Cross, and I think Alyssa from the new Final Fantasy 13. I may be wrong, but whatever. But it was definitely at least the first 2. But the one thing you'll notice about all 3 that I listed, they're not decupped. They're not wearing very little amounts of clothing. Kid's kind of wearing, a shirt, in the skirt, but she's not showing it
Final
off.
Fantasy X2, Riku.
Yeah, but I don't count that. I said Final Fantasy X, not X-2.
Okay.
I refuse to count the Final Fantasy X-2 version of her because I don't like it. Not just because of the clothing, the hair looks stupid. Just ugh.
Yeah.
It was dumb. I ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there was the undressing scene when she gets out of her Albed uniform.
Yeah.
But it's still not showing much off, so that's not really counting nearly as much.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you'll notice that none of them are the over-sexualized character. It's not a Kasumi. It's not a Melina. It's not like any of these, especially fighting games, are terrible for this.
Yeah.
But it's not the Mai Shiranui, really, like the original sexy female character, really.
Mm. Well, actually, you bring up a good point with Kasumi. Mass Effect. You can see, like, there's definitely...
DOA.
DOA?
Yeah, Dead or Alive.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was talking about the DLC character from Mass Effect 2.
Because every female character in Mass Effect 3 just has a tight bodysuit. But
look at Mass Effect 2 in terms of the sexualization of, like, females. I mean, look at the difference of interaction between a character like Tali.
Yeah.
You never see her face, and she's very mysterious in terms of body image.
And then, of course, in the third game, people got flipped out about it. But...
Oh, God, yeah. But anyways, to continue my point, the interactions with Miranda at that point, where it's always the booty shot, it's always, the chest, and all. It's literally, there's only very few things.
They're not even
where
trying to hide it. That's the funny thing. It's so obvious. Almost every camera angle, it's meant to be so it focuses on her butt. It's just,
you can tell they're written by different writers.
As nice as
and
it
like
is,
the cinematography is
as nice as it looks. I mean, it's just
it's like, come on,
really,
seriously.
we only need to, like, a couple times. You don't need to do it every time she turns around. You have to focus on it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something that we'll definitely keep our eye on.
Do you think it will ever go away, the issue itself? Do you think we'll ever get to the point where it's going to be at least controlled, that we won't be seeing, like, every game is, as Movie Bob pictured, Naked Panty Ninja or whatever he called it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we ever going to see it get to the point where at least it's not going to be, like, almost every single game that comes out is going to have some sort of fan service to it?
I think,
and I'm talking big companies, not like indie games where they definitely do try it.
It's definitely going to be something that develops with time. We are going to see a change. It's going to be a very, very slow and gradual one.
Because right now, the only company I can think of off the top of my head that doesn't overly glorify their female characters to, like, the point that they're wearing nothing is Atlas. Because...
No, I'll stop you right there. Actually, no, never mind. I'll continue right there, and then I'll follow up with the point.
But, because a game like Persona, I mean, while they do have them in swimsuits for the obligatory beach spot, but it's not to the point that they're going, hey, I'm in the blah, blah, blah. They're still human. They still act like in character. Mm-hmm. And even when you have in Persona 4 a girl like Naoto, who's actually pretty loaded in the chest areas, she doesn't like the fact that she has that. She wants to be a guy. Because she doesn't get the respect she wants out of the police service where she works, because she is a girl and because she's that hot girl. Mm-hmm. So when you see her initially in the game, it's obvious to me. I knew she was a girl right off the bat because it was so obvious. Mm-hmm. But she's literally wearing such manly clothes. She's got the hat on to kind of cover the fact she has the long hair. Mm-hmm. She's wearing glasses that kind of don't really make it obvious that she's got really, like, cute blue eyes, that kind of thing. Yeah. She hides the fact that what she has, and that's something you don't see. The fact that they're trying to hide the fact that, yeah, this happens, but she doesn't want that to be that stereotype.
Yeah. Well, the other game that actually, or game company that does have powerful female characters is Valve. I mean,
touche.
Yeah, Chell, Alex Vance, Dr. What's her name? Reed, I think it is?
Because now that I think about it, like, most guys, like, their favorite female character is probably Alex. Because she is probably the most female character there is.
She's very realistic in terms of, like, that interaction.
She's beautiful. She's not sexy. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
And she acts like a person should. And people get onto that fact because she feels real. It doesn't feel like the giddy, I'm going to show you my boobs every 5 seconds because that's going to get a smile out of you. No, she is human, and that's what you don't see out of female characters.
And that's absolutely what Valve aims for in terms of their quote-unquote cutscenes, in terms of interactions with characters and story.
I'm sure there's other big companies that don't do it as much, but really the two that we can think about at the top of our heads that really avoid it almost are those two.
Yeah.
I mean, even some games that Alice puts out, like, they do have a little bit of a scantily clad, but, like, it's not to the point of Dead or Alive or Mortal Kombat to that point. It's still realistic of, like, clothing that would actually be worn in that period of time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in some games you can get away with it. In the fantasy games where you know, there's the skirts and that kind of stuff, and they're flying everywhere. Like, take Heavenly Sword, for example.
Yes.
That's kind of acceptable, but when it's in real life, where it's literally just like, you know, a tube top and short shorts, no.
If it's Grand Theft Auto...
Not every girl wears those clothes,
yeah.
and very few girls wear those clothes.
Yeah. And sometimes it makes sense in Grand Theft Auto, I guess. But even still. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll probably come back to it when we have a little more of a panel, and she does release her first video, and we'll probably talk about it then.
We'll be keeping a very close eye on that, because I'm very interested in this.
And, you know, when other games do obviously come out like that, with the stuff like the next beach volleyball.
I mean, the fact that it's usually guys that are making the outrage. Like, let me just put this out here before we finish.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to lose games because it's getting sexualized and people are going to start ranting on it. We're not going to lose our games. It's probably not even going to change anything, but it's going to raise the issue more often. No. We're not going to get rid of the Dead or Alives, the Ninja Gaidens, the Mortal Kombats, all the fighters with the scantily clad women. We're not going to get rid of this, but it's going to get to the point where the issue is going to come up a lot more often. That we're going to sit there, look at the characters. We're not going to look at Ivy with her G cups, really, and say, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. Some people are going to finally get to that point where they're going to realize, okay, not every girl has to have a D cup. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's going to help in terms of story making, because, like, I mean, it's just going to be more realistic, and it's going to make you fall in love with the characters even more if they're that much more relatable.
Yeah, because, you know, there's still not a lot of guys out there, especially gamers, that actually go for a girl with a personality. It's more just the looks. Yeah. Which is sad, and I can't stand that. It
is sad. So anyways, let's move on into QuickTime events, and then I think we'll go into some reviews. Yeah, we'll go into reviews. That was really long because Adam's trying to voice something to me that he doesn't want to say over the air. It's okay.
You're not allowed to know how much time this is. You can read it. Move your eyes.
Yes. So, QuickTime events. Metal Gear Solid 5 was confirmed with basically a French magazine interviewed Hideo Kojima and released small tidbits of information such as Solid Snake will be in the game. And it'll be running on the new Fox engine, which will be kind of interesting to see.
The only thing I'm worried about is if Snake is to the point that one of two things will happen. He'll either be playable, which should not happen, and he'll die a heroic death, which is so cliche, and I don't want to see that.
You know what? Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was a swan song for Solid Snake. And to be honest, Hideo Kojima even said in the interview that he thought Solid Snake was done. Like, he was dead, that's it for him.
But then think of how much money they made, so of course.
Well, I think Konami came up to him and was just like, hey, money, make something. And he's just like, okay.
To me, like, I think they could get away with making a whole new character. As long as it's not like Raiden or anything.
It's like Raiden Rose.
They can make another badass. It can even be like his... No, I guess I can't say his son or something, but like... you can get to the point where you can even keep David Hayter and just have him voice somebody else in there, because his voice is amazing.
He's a really good voice actor. But yeah, we'll see what comes out of it. But I mean, we only just heard about it yesterday, so keep your eyes peeled.
Well, I can't believe you're giving me the story, because this is just
because you get so mad at it. That's why.
Because it's full of irony, considering how much I've complained about it, or at least try to piss off the fans.
Yep.
But Final Fantasy VII may or may not be coming to Steam, which makes sense because it was out on PC. I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to say this just because I have to keep pissing off people every time Final Fantasy VII comes up. It's not going to get remade in 3D or in better graphics or anything, so deal with what you're getting. Take the remake on Steam and live with it. Stop complaining.
Next story.
Speaking of Steam.
Speaking of Steam, in 72 hours of this time of recording, there's going to be the start of the Steam's Great Summer Sale, which, if you remember from previous years, everything goes on sale, and it's so cheap, and it's so inexpensive, and I bought so many games that I don't even think I've installed half of them yet. So
you're just like, I want that one, and that one, and that one, and that one.
Okay, like the Grand Theft Auto entire, like GTA 3, 4, Vice City, and San Andreas, all for, I think it was $10. Hell yeah, I'm doing that.
Most of those games now, if you try to buy them, they'd be like $5 a piece each anyway, because they're such common games.
Yeah, well, it's just...
so I'd really like to get that package for $10.
The Christmas deals were like, I got Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 for like real dirt cheap, and right now they have a Deus Ex deal. You get the entire Deus Ex library, including Human Revolution and all the DLC for $14.
I mean, when you think about it, Steam is leading the charge.
Oh yeah,
there's
man.
I'm sorry, Origin, but you were a piece of crap. Steam has blown you out of the water and then blown you 3 more times before you got back into the water.
Yeah, it is the best, without a doubt, best retail store online. Maybe Amazon beats it out, but in terms of gaming, beats anyone. GameStop, EB Games, anyone in the States, gone.
And it goes to show you that what Valve has done has created a very loyal market.
Well, I was just hearing on it was Tech News Today that if NPD was actually to measure the sales from Steam, it would be the top of the charts all the time because of all the stuff that they're able to do with non-tangible goods.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. But anyways, we're going to do something that's brand new to Downloadable Opinions, reviews of video games, which I guess isn't that new for video game shows, but it's new for us.
And it's not going to happen nearly as often until we get to it September, because there's not a lot coming out, and especially not a lot that I want to touch.
Yeah.
So until game companies send me their games for free, I'm not reviewing anything, because I'm paying $50, $60 for stuff that I'm not going to like. I mean, I've heard a lot of bad things. I mean, Steel Battalion's gotten terrible ratings. Oh my god.
Really?
Because apparently it's using the Kinect and it does a terrible job. Because we know how well the Kinect does motion.
I know some people that would.
People
really...
are very mad at this game because people love the original with the big 100-button controller.
Oh yeah.
And it's reduced to this really finicky, like you can't do anything properly. The main gun aim is terrible. You are more likely to use the periscope for your aiming because it hits where you want it to go. It's just terrible. IGN gave it a 3, and that's you don't see ratings like that very often, especially for like big games.
Yeah.
But the game that I'm concentrating on is Lollipop Chainsaw, which that's a complete left turn here. But the game itself, I'm not going to do what most people do and rate it because...
Speaking of
sexism... I'm not going to rate this game because of what it does technically or what it does with its graphics, because I'm sick and tired of hearing reviewers go, well, there's a little bug here and there in the game, the graphics aren't up to par with everything else. Not every game has to be up to par with what everything else is doing. Think Minecraft. Minecraft is one of the most popular games right now, and the graphics are probably not even N64 quality still. So... But Lollipop Chainsaw itself, I mean, most people can get the idea of where this is. Most people have seen the trailer, so they understand the story of... I can't even think of the character now. This is terrible.
Basically, cheerleader with a chainsaw attacking zombies, I think it is.
I mean, the game itself, I'm half and half on the game. Sometimes I love it to death because it is hilarious. And they have great music in it. Every time you go shopping, all you hear is, lollipop, lollipop, ooh la la. You're like, the soundtrack is awesome in this game. You will not be able to keep yourself from smiling sometimes when you hear the songs for the first time. The gameplay itself is okay at times. There are times where I played it initially on normal, like most people would do, and I got the crap knocked out of me. Because if zombies get into a big pack, even if you literally are jumping around, smacking here and there, you're still going to get hit, and it'll take you a while to get out of this pack. And I tried, maybe I'll try it on easy, get used to the controls, and then try the harder difficulty later. It still happens. The only difference is that you have more health, and you take a little bit better damage. But to me, it's almost frustrating that you are hacking and slashing, and then at any point, even though you have a chainsaw in your hands, your attack can be interrupted at any moment just by a simple poke, almost, it seems.
Yeah.
I mean... Other than that, like, the game is pretty solid. I love it. The graphics are really quirky. I like that. The voice acting, some people think it's really stupid. I actually think it works for it because it's not meant to be serious. It's meant to be as cheesy as it can be. At the beginning of the game, and because it's kind of ironic that we're talking about this with the whole sexualization earlier, her sensei is in the school and he gets knocked on his ass twice, but instead of getting knocked on the ground, he keeps falling right into her chest. But it's the kind of thing where I think it's more making fun of the fact of the sexualization than more than anything else. So I can give this one a pass. Because I have to give it a grade, though. I will give it because it does have very good moments. It is very funny. I'll give it a 7 at most. I think with the fact that it can be very unfair to you at times. The boss battles are pretty cool, but they can be a little tedious at times. And the story itself is kind of really cheesy, and it's not even really to the point that you're not really all that interested in the characters for the most part, so...
It's a fun hack and slash.
It is, but it's not. It's good for your dollar, but it's not going to be something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life.
Well, I've been playing on my PlayStation Vita. I've played the Golden Abyss, which I'll talk about probably on the website because it's a very short game. But something that I really love, the Metal Gear Solid remake, HD remake that came out for the Vita. I've been playing that for a while. This is essentially the same game that you got on the PlayStation 2. It's both Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. The Vita controls work very, very well for the actual, for the game. You get, there are some touch controls that you have to get used to. Basically, just change your weapons or change your items. It's very, it's very unforgiving for a little bit, but then once you get used to it, you just basically, it's a very fluid motion game. I really, you know what, to be honest, this game is exactly like the PlayStation 2 game. There's very subtle differences in that in the Metal Gear Solid 2 game, once you finish the entire thing for the first time, you get sunglasses, which I didn't notice in the PlayStation 2 one. And there is some, because you have to get taught controls through voice cinematics, they've gone through and actually changed some of the voice acting. So there's one point where you have to go in Metal Gear Solid 2 diving in Shell 2, and they replace the Colonel's voice acting with, it's the same voice actor, but you can tell time has passed. He's got an older voice, it's a little more raspier. It's just something that just sticks out in your mind. Both these games are the re-releases, so you have Substance, or basically all the VR missions that you would have had in Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence, and Metal Gear Solid 3 has all the little demo things you could see, the 3D, the full control of your camera, and everything else in there. You know what? If you like Metal Gear Solid, you're going to have a fun time with this game. Go pick it up for your Vita if you have it. If you don't, just go pick it up for a PlayStation or Xbox. It's fun times.
And the obligatory grade?
I'm going to give it 2 Solid Snakes out of 2.
Yay.
I don't know. Rating systems are dumb. I hate them. You know what? If you want to play the game, go pick it up and play it. This is just the opinion of it. If you like... Yeah, if there's nothing really changed, if you really want to play those Metal Gear Solid experiences and you want to have them on the go with you, go pick it up, because this is the exact same game. It's fun times. It's going to take you 10 hours to complete the games with the cutscenes, and it's just going to be a good time for you to have. Yeah, that's what I think of it. How about you, Adam?
I haven't played Metal Gear Solid since 2, and I was terrible at it, so I have no opinion on this. I am a terrible stealth person because I like shooting things, and you don't get to shoot things very often.
As I said in the E3 stuff, I love stealth action. Give me more of it. I can't wait for Metal Gear Solid 5, hopefully. Hopefully we don't lose power, too, because it's thunder.
Ooh, there's thunderstorms. That sounds cool.
But anyways, I think that's going to be it for us.
Do we have any final words? Because I have one.
Okay, you take your final word.
Because we said way back in E3 that they had an Avengers game coming out.
Yep.
And I found out what it was.
What was it?
It is a one-on-one fighter with the Kinect. Can you imagine how this is going to work?
This is going to be terrible.
So
actually...
I've seen Angry Joe did a gameplay demo of it, and it looks so stupid. I'm going to give this an obligatory because I'm going to give it a rating ahead of time because I'm not even going to try to play it. It's going to get a 2. Because I guarantee you with how the way it looks right now, as much as it's an Avengers title, people are going to buy it and they're going to be very disappointed with this. Think so. Because what I see, there's only so many times you can rapidly punch before the game crashes on you because it has no idea what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's like they want to build a Dragon Ball Z game for the Kinect.
Yeah.
And I really, really can't see this working well because, especially when you're flying, usually when the Saiyans fly, they kind of lean over to move side to side. And the Kinect can't do leaning very well.
I think the Kinect needs to become like at least another generation before we can see really
I know
good
they're
fighting
planning
games.
on doing a Kinect 2.0 with the new Xbox when it does come out.
Yeah.
That's the rumor. Ooh, that was loud.